It is April the 2nd, 8 p.m. This is the live streaming of Chinese Solution Global Sharing, organized by Health News, supported by Mindray. I'm your hostess, reporter Liu Lixia from Health News. A pleasure to meet you online. Recently, China summoned national efforts to combat the outbreak of COVID-19. The situation of the pandemic continued to improve and had periodic achievement. At present, the pandemic is spreading rapidly around the world, and China has accumulated a substantial amount of valuable experiences in the prevention and control of the pandemic, hoping these experiences can be of referential value for other nations. On March the 22nd, we organized the first global live streaming that attracted domestic and international attention. Today, we do it again to share Chinese experience and Chinese solution. In today's event, we are fortunate to have invited 5 frontline hospital managers. They are Director of Zhongnan Hospital of Wuhan University, Mr. Wang Xinghuan, Secretary of the Second Affiliated Hospital of Xi'an Zhaotong University, Mr. Guo Shouping, Deputy Director of the Second Xinyang Hospital of Central South University, Xu Junmei, Deputy Director of Chengdu Public Health Clinical Center, Mr. Zhang Renqi, and Chief Head Nurse of Operation Unit, Wuhan Union Hospital, Madam Gao Xinglian. Thank you for attending today's event out of your busy schedule. Later on, they will share their precious experiences and real thoughts and feelings. We also have Director Deng Haihua from Health News to attend this event, and Senior Vice President from Mindray Group, Mr. Li Zaiwen. First, please join me to welcome Director Deng Haihua to deliver his remarks. Dear leaders, experts, comrades, and international friends, good evening. Welcome to Chinese Solution Global Sharing, Episode 2, jointly organized by Health News and Health China New Media Platform, supported by Shenzhen Mindray Technology. On behalf of the organizer, I'd like to say a big thank you to the directors and experts for your hard efforts to combat the COVID-19 outbreak. Thank you for your participation and sharing, and thank all the international audiences for your attention. After the outbreak, Chinese government attached great importance to it. President Xi himself directed the battle against the pandemic. With concerted efforts, the outbreak is now under control, and the State Council has established a joint prevention and control mechanism and effective measures to contain the spread of the virus. With the joint efforts of the nation and its people, basically, the outbreak has been contained, and economic production and people's life are being restored. This is a worldwide outstanding achievement. However, the spread of virus knows no boundaries. The number of infected patients are increasing in a surprising speed, and this is a major threat to people's health and safety, and also pose a major threat. To share Chinese clinical experiences is very important to prevent the virus from further spreading. On March the 22nd, we have successfully organized the first live streaming event. We invited 5 hospital managers to share Chinese solutions and transmit Chinese strength and Chinese competence. There are 2.33 million audiences watching this event, and we have over 320,000 likes, and also have over 40,000 expatriates, experts, and audiences. They have raised over 1,000 questions related to the prevention and control of the pandemic. In 1 week, Health News and Health China platform, we organized 3 live streaming events successfully. Today, we organized another global live streaming event. We have specially invited Secretary Gong Shouping, Director Wang Xinghuan, and Deputy Director Xu Junmei, Deputy Director Zhang Renqi, and Chief Nurse Gao Xinlian. They are the frontline fighters and experts. Later on, with their first-hand experience, they will demonstrate the real battle scenario against COVID-19 to jointly discuss how to efficiently mobilize medical resources. And through social media, these experiences and Chinese solutions will be straightforwardly transmitted around the world. And all these precious experiences we have accumulated and gathered, I hope they can be of referential value to other nations and to play an instrumental role to prevent COVID-19 from further spreading. I wish today's live streaming a full success. Thank you.
Thank you,
Director Deng. As the most influential industrial media supervised by National Health Commission, Health News has conducted a lot of media coverage and dissemination of scientific knowledge against COVID-19 and have uncovered precious experiences in the prevention and control of the pandemic. Coming next, please join me to welcome Senior Vice President from Shenzhen Mindray Group, Mr. Li Zaiwen, to deliver his remarks.
Dear President Deng Haihua, Honorable Director Wang Xinhuan, Gong Shouping, Xu Junmei, Zhang Renqing, and Chief Head Nurse Gao Xinlian, distinguished leaders and experts from hospitals around the world, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and good afternoon. First of all, on behalf of Mindray, please allow me to extend the highest respect, the most heartfelt thanks, and the sincerest blessings to all the medical workers around the world fighting against COVID-19. At present, the novel coronavirus outbreak has become a serious global public health challenge. Although countries around the world are in different phases of fighting against the virus, and their medical systems and technology levels are diverse, we firmly believe that openness, sharing, and collaboration are the key for us to defeat the pandemic. As the first country affected by COVID-19, China has accumulated much experience and effective methods in combating the coronavirus. We hope to make a contribution to the international community for maintaining global health security by sharing our experiences and best practices. A few days ago, based on our efforts in combating the coronavirus, the National Health Commission of China, NHC, summarized Chinese solution, in which NHC shares China's experience across multiple aspects of epidemic response, including prevention and control, diagnosis and treatment, and material support. As one of the leading medical equipment suppliers in China market, Mindray has made positive contributions to epidemic tackling in diagnosis, treatment, and material support. We extensively mobilize our employees and our upstream and downstream partners to take the lead in work resumption on the second day of Chinese Spring Festival holiday, and immediately delivered nearly 3,000 medical devices to Hoshinshan and Leishinshan Hospital, the two designated hospitals for COVID-19 case treatment in Wuhan, and then delivered more than 50,000 units to the hospitals across China designated for coronavirus case curing. Mindray is also planning to deliver more than 10,000 devices to Italy in near future, and provide more equipment and solutions to countries around the world. Under the background of worldwide epidemic prevention, to fulfill the urgent and special demands, Mindray is capable of providing, with one-stop service, nearly 70% of the devices required by the infectious disease hospitals, covering the core departments such as clinical laboratory, ICU, emergency department, and medical imaging department. With its products and services, Mindray offers powerful support to hospitals for their overall configuration and standardized equipment management. Mindray's smart, user-friendly equipment help to improve the efficiency of medical staff and shorten the training time. The devices featuring automation and being easy for disinfection also help to reduce nosocomial infection. The pandemic situation changes rapidly, and different medical ecology in various countries will continue to affect the evolution of the epidemic. Therefore, the Chinese solution shared today will also keep progressing into European solution and global solution. As a medical device and solution supplier, Mindray has been respecting the diverse conditions of each country in the world. We will focus on closer communication and collaboration and try to deliver the supplies most urgently needed in the most effective and optimized way. Mindray will continue to make a contribution for global solution in the aspects of material support, diagnosis, and treatment. At last, I wish this global webinar a great success and I wish we will win the war against COVID-19 as soon as possible. I wish all the present experts to take care of yourselves. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Ms. Li, and thank Mindray for your contribution to the prevention and control of this pandemic in China. And I hope Chinese solution, together with the other nations' solution, can form a global solution. Next, we enter into the main session of today's live streaming event. We ask the frontline hospital managers to share their experiences and thoughts. The first speaker is Director Xu. Director Xu is the Deputy Director of the 2nd Xinyang Hospital of Central South University. Director Xu is also the Deputy Director of Wuchang Mobile Cabin Hospital. A medical team he led created MDT model that was regarded as the template for all mobile cabin hospitals. With the successful closure of the mobile cabin hospital, at present, Director Xu has returned to Changsha. Please turn the screen to Director Xu.
Hello everyone, I'm Xu Junmei from the 2nd Xianyang Hospital of Central South University. Today, we want to share with you the establishment and operation of mobile cabin hospitals against novel coronavirus pneumonia. It is divided into 4 parts: the sudden outbreak of COVID-19 epidemic, the cabin construction amid crisis, life-saving efforts made at the cabin, and the spring-like bombs felt at the mobile cabin. In late 2019 and early 2020, the novel coronavirus pneumonia broke out in Hubei province. These data are from the website of the National Health Commission. The first case was confirmed on December 8th. Nucleic acid testing was completed as early as January 10th. Cases of the pneumonia were found in Wuhan before January 19th, and in 4 provinces and municipalities on January 20th. The number of virus-hit provinces and municipalities rose to 13 on January 21st, 25 on January 22nd, and 29 on January 23rd. On January 23rd, Wuhan was locked down. A total of 30 provinces and municipalities were hit by novel coronavirus pneumonia on January 25th, and the number increased to 31 on January 28th. Obviously, the number of cases were growing faster. The number of confirmed coronavirus cases in China increased to 17,205 on February 2nd and 28,000 on February 5th. I'm from the 2nd Xianyang Hospital of Central South University, which has a history of a century, actually a history of anti-epidemics. From the diphtheria, smallpox, then plague, bacterial warfare, cholera that appeared when the hospital was founded, to trachoma and schistosomiasis control that occurred after the establishment of PRC, there always have been the figures from Xianyang. So on February 4th, I took the initiative to lead the National Emergency Medical Team consisted of 42 members from the 2nd Xianyang Hospital of Central South University to Wuhan together with 10 medical equipment vehicles. This is the scene where our team members departed for Wuhan. Secondly, the cabin construction amid crisis. On February 2nd, 31 provinces and municipalities reported 2,829 more confirmed cases, which pushed the total to 17,205. Therefore, with the number of cases of novel coronavirus pneumonia increasing substantially in a short time, it was difficult to find a bed in Wuhan hospitals. As most patients were mild and moderate cases, and the medical requirements were undemanding, they could be admitted to less well-equipped medical facilities. Thirdly, if the hospitalization issue for mild patients is solved, more beds would be available for critical patients. Therefore, there was a strong social demand under the backdrop. Could the issue be solved by constructing mobile cabin hospitals? A mobile cabin hospital is a part of field mobile medical system of the People's Liberation Army, which is widely used in various emergency situations. It is generally composed of medical function unit, ward unit, and technical support unit, etc. This modularized medical facility has many functions such as emergency treatment, surgical treatment, and clinical test. And could we build more cabin hospitals to receive and treat mild cases of novel coronavirus pneumonia? It is a scientific judgment that there should be no cross-infection between patients with novel coronavirus pneumonia. Secondly, practicality. The mobile cabin hospital has three basic functions: isolation, treatment, and monitoring. Third, feasibility. It is possible to use the local sport halls, convention centers, schools, etc. to build mobile cabin hospitals in tandem with equipment vehicles from the National Emergency Medical Team, which feature large capacity, time efficiency, and low cost. In a word, from the aspects of its scientific nature and practicality, as well as condition at the time, it is fully acceptable to build a cabin hospital to receive and treat mild patients of COVID-19. Therefore, on February 3rd, the superior authority made an immediate decision to establish mobile cabin hospitals. Of course, there were also concerns and difficulties. Three major concerns. First, whether the patients are willing to enter the mobile cabins. Second, the issue of cross-infection of other epidemics. Third, the risk of mass incidents. Three major difficulties. First, there was a shortage of life and medical supplies. Second, the hospital were understaffed. Third, it was difficult to establish a medical system and procedures suitable for the diagnosis and treatment of highly contagious COVID-19 pneumonia in the short term. As the first supportive team arriving in Wuhan, we took the lead amid crisis and fully participated in the key tasks of ward transformation. We quickly set up the camp, put the tents up, made suggestions for transformation, and worked overtime with workers to race against the time. We worked from the evening of February 4th until 4 a.m. on February 5th. In this way, the mobile cabin hospital was basically completed and underwent inspection by the leaders from National Health Commission on the morning of February 5th. On the evening of February 5th, we started to admit and treat patients. On February 5th, the reported confirmed cases totaled 28,018. The number grew fast. We started treating the first patient at 11 p.m. on February 5th. After pre-screening triage, the patients were sent into the cabin. Comprehensive protection measures had to be taken. Enter the cabin for patient rounds. The third part is saving lives at the cabin. When the cabin started to operate, we had to lift the above-mentioned three major concerns and overcome the three major difficulties. We proposed a 3-0 goal. Zero infection of medical staff, zero deaths of patients at the cabin, and zero return of discharged patients. Only in this way could we strictly implement the central government's order and resolutely accomplish the task of leaving no COVID-19 patients unattended. The mobile cabin hospital set up a leadership structure. I was the deputy director in charge of medical work. 2 offices in 3 departments were established: the office, medical department, nursing department, infection department, and material security office. A joint working mechanism created among 4 national teams and a provincial team. The operation mode is the hospital infection control department took charge of infection control. Doctors and nurses coordinated with each other. Both Chinese traditional and Western medical measures were taken. Psychological counseling services were offered to patients. Consideration was given to the health of children. Internal and external peer system was established. Support was given by pharmacy, drug technology, and party building departments. As for hospital infection control department taking charge of infection control, our nosocomial infection experts stayed up all night to work out the plan, according to which the cabin was divided into 3 zones, namely the contaminated zone, semi-contaminated zone, and clean zone. Totally, more than 500 medical staff from all over the country, as well as local police, security guards, and health personnel got trained in 13 batches. This is a photo taken during training. The doctors and nurses made joint efforts to carry out ward runs together. Both Chinese traditional and Western medical measures were taken, and special attention was given to the advantages of Chinese traditional medicine. And Chinese traditional medicine was available for every patient. Combined with Western medicine of Epidaure, we used traditional Chinese medicines including Lianhua Qingwen and soup dispersing Lang Qi and removing toxic substance, and add antibiotics if the patient's lung were infected. Focus on nursing, of course. Nursing work is very important. The nursing department of our hospital directed the nursing runs of the mobile cabin hospital and strengthened the care, health education, and psychological counseling of key patients. We developed the workflow, handover procedure, throat swab sample collection, and delivery procedure, nursing procedure, and contents. We established 1M2C3S nursing management system. We also provided the team with theoretical training, simulation operations, on-site training, etc. More than 500 nurses at the cabin completed throat swab collection training in 14 batches. This picture was taken during the training. We provided psychological counseling for patients. As many patients were under great psychological pressure, we had been taking relevant manuals with us, such as step into the cabin and step out of the cabin, and carried out psychic oxygen bar to conduct one-on-one psychological consultation. In order to do well in spiritual care, we initiated Soul Home program and carried out many activities of various formats, such as I Want to Tell You, Heartfelt Wish, Here is a Painting for You, and the singing contest of I Am a Singer at the Cabin, etc. These are the manuals we compiled, which are highly endorsed by the National Health Commission. These are words written by patients participated in the Soul Home program. Considering the demand of sick kids, pediatric experts joined our team. For children and adolescents, we gave special protection, medication, and psychological support. Some patients combine other medical and surgical diseases. We invited medicine and surgery specialists for consultation. For example, this patient had a fracture. We put him in a cast, which worked well. As for laboratory tests, blood routine, CRP, blood, biochemical, and antibody tests were able to be done at our cabin. As for radiology work, we were able to conduct chest radiography, chest CT, and examination and organize consultations. This is the statistics of each process, which is very important. All the data of all patients in the cabin can be aggregated in this table to evaluate the patient's examination arrangements and discharge arrangements. Rules and regulations. I was the deputy director in charge of medical treatment. We established all the necessary systems to ensure efficient cooperation and joint research among teams from various hospitals. For instance, these are the work procedures for removing protective equipment, work tasks, work plans, and the first aid procedure of common critical cases. We never ignore team building. We know teamwork is very important. All the medical treatments, hospital infection control, nursing, medical laboratory, logistics, and material supplies were achieved in concerted efforts. The logistic personnel guaranteed the electricity, water, and heat supply, etc. The fourth part, the spring warmth felt at the cabin. With all the efforts, we began to admit patients on February 5th, and a large number of patients were discharged since February 7th. This picture shows it was snowing when the discharged patient departed. Wuchang Mobile Cabin Hospital started to receive and treat patients at 11 p.m. on February 5th and discharged the last batch of patients on March 10th. It operated for 35 days. To sum up, it can be divided into 3 stages. First is the initial stage, when it was easy to mess up and we had to strictly prevent the diseases of the patient from aggravating to danger their lives and even lead to death. The second is a stable operation stage, when there were a large number of patients flocking in and out the cabin, and we focused on improving efficiency and receiving more patients. The third is a closing stage. At that time, there were not many patients, and some patients failed to be cured after long treatment, as their chest films showed the inflammation was not absorbed and the nucleic acid test remained positive. In such circumstances, we needed to keep improving and work out personalized treatment solutions. In our mobile cabin practice, our hospital took in charge of 249 inpatient beds in Wuchang Mobile Cabin Hospital, received and treated 394 patients in total, and 290 of them were discharged. Totally, 1,124 patients were admitted to the hospital. We resolved the 3 major concerns and overcame the 3 major difficulties. We have achieved the 3-0 goal, and the mobile cabin hospitals in the city received and treated a quarter of patients in Wuhan. We have completed the strategic tasks of leaving no COVID-19 patients unattended, achieved the shift from patients waiting for beds to beds waiting for patients, and been fully affirmed by the leaders of the National Health Commission. We also made scientific reports, shared the basic experience of mobile cabin hospital practices in foreign magazines, and submitted the project declaration. Now, China has effectively contained the pandemic with concerted efforts by people of the whole country. And on March 18, Hubei reported 0 new cases. The number of new suspected cases and confirmed cases grounded 0. As of March 28th, a total of 81,394 confirmed cases were reported nationwide, among which 74,971 cases were cured. 2 new imported confirmed cases from overseas were reported on March 4th, and the number rose to 649 on 28th. Many mainstream media at home and abroad reported that the mobile cabin hospital was enormously effective and played a key role in controlling the epidemic. The large-scale application of mobile cabin hospitals is of great significance for the prevention and control of the epidemic, and provides ideas for future medical reform and social governance. China also fully affirmed the role of medical staff in the combat against the epidemic, and we have all been commended by the state. We are also willing to share experience of the mobile cabin hospitals with foreign peers. According to incomplete statistics, Xiangya Hospital have released 454 related news reports. As of March 27, 408,415 confirmed cases and 18,863 deaths have been reported worldwide. According to WHO, beds are in shortage in many countries. These countries could learn from China to use mobile cabin hospitals for the centralized isolation of mild patients. According to reports, Italy, Austria, Iran, and other countries have also built mobile cabin hospitals of different sizes. This is a group photo of our team. That's all for today. If you have any questions, please leave a message, and we will discuss later. Thank you.
感谢徐院长的讲述。徐院长对方舱医院从建设到
Thank
修
you.
舱，尤其是
Director
运
Xu
行
has shared the establishment and operation
同时
of
他也
mobile
讲
cabin
述了在
hospital.
其中遇到的
He
问
also
题
shared the difficulties and problems, as well as
徐院长的
solutions.
经验对一些正在
I
建
believe
设
that
方舱医院的
Director
国家
Xu's
可以起到
experience
很大的
can
借鉴作
be
用。
of a great
也希望
referential
方舱医
value
院同
for
样能够帮
nations
助世界
that
的
are
各国
building their
防
own
疫。
mobile cabin hospitals.
下面进行
Hoping
分
these
享
localized
成都
mobile
市
cabin
公共
hospitals
卫生
can
临
help the
床医
world
疗
to
中心
surmount the
张仁
pandemic.
清副院长。
Coming next is the
作为
Deputy
家庭产
Director
业专科
Zhang
医院，
Renqing
成都市
from
公共
Chengdu
卫生
Public
临
Health
床医疗
Clinical
中心
Center.
是成
As
都
a
市确
specialized
诊新冠
hospital
肺
of
炎患者
infectious
人数最
diseases,
多的医院。
Chengdu Public Health and
他
Clinical
是如
Center
何步
took
步
in the
为
most
做好
number
医
of
疗救治
COVID-19
并
patients
防
in
治感
Chengdu.
染的？
What
有请
measures
张
have they
院长
taken
先
to
生分
prevent
享。
cross-infection
请把
and
说
treat
把
the
画面
patients?
转向张院长。
Please turn the screen to Director Zhang.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zhang Renqing. I serve as the Deputy Director of the Public Health Clinical Center of Chengdu, responsible for clinical medical work. I'm also the team leader of Chengdu Expert Team for Novel Coronavirus Pneumonia Treatment. I'm going to introduce how our hospital treated novel coronavirus pneumonia patients. Our hospital deployed the best manpower and spared no effort to rescue and treat patients in the epidemic. Our hospital has been responsible for the treatment of novel coronavirus pneumonia in Chengdu City, Sichuan Province. The main goals are to respond to emerging and accidental public health events by performing clinical rescue and treatment, and to rescue and treat patients with infectious diseases defined by law. The picture shown here is a floor plan of our hospital. In response to the novel coronavirus pneumonia epidemic, it can be run at 3 types of intensity. At low intensity, our hospital can undertake rescue and treatment work for less than 50 patients by using some buildings. At medium intensity, the Phase 2 building can be converted into negative pressure wards, which is able to accommodate 370 patients. At high intensity, our hospital can serve as an isolation area to rescue and treat 1,800 patients. Let's look at this picture. The top one shows the main buildings of our hospital, while the bottom one presents the negative pressure wards of our hospital for treating severe patients. Our hospital has carried out a lot of work before the epidemic, such as formulating emergency plans and organizational management plans, and segmenting specific roles. The following picture shows some of our hospital's laboratory and examination equipment, and how their work was carried out. Some are new and advanced equipment purchased by our own hospital previously, while others are funded by the government for this epidemic. The enough supplement of laboratory, examination and rescue equipment ensured that our hospital was under normal operation and work was carried out orderly. Prior to the epidemic, we had carried out emergency drills, the content of which ranged from emergency response to transport patients, to transferring examination in wards. The results had been discussed by our expert groups to ensure the process is scientific, normalized, and standardized. This picture depicts our logistic support work. The protective coveralls we used either for rescue or for our daily use, and other protective materials were stacked orderly and identified with codes. Our hospital had also organized emergency teams. Currently, The 11th emergency team is on duty. Once an epidemic situation occurs, our team can return to designated positions within 30 minutes. Chengdu is a metropolis with a large population in and out every day, and it connects to more than 100 countries and regions with airlines and other traffic. Our emergency team has 40 members under normal circumstances, all of whom should be guaranteed to be able to work. During the epidemic, our clinical and other departments carried out work orderly. Our hospital admitted and treated the first case of novel coronavirus pneumonia in Sichuan province on January 16th. The manpower invested in the early stage was about 80 people. We divided rescue staff, such as doctors, nurses, and workers, into 4 shifts, with each shift working in turns. Shown here are our negative pressure ambulances, emergency personnel, and tertiary protective equipment, facilities, and clothing. When the epidemic situation became increasingly widespread, the government invested in renovating the Phase 2 wards for our hospital. This picture portrays our renovated negative pressure building with 370 beds. The building was put into use after 10 days of renovation. Here we can see the exterior decoration of corridors inside our negative pressure building. Engineers and our medical staff worked together to renovate the building complex so that it can be used normally. In addition to novel coronavirus pneumonia patients, our hospital admitted and treated patients with 39 kinds of infectious diseases defined by law. To ensure all work to be performed in an orderly manner, we pre-screened and triaged all patients who entered our hospital. In the picture on the left, the floor and tables were marked with fever signs to enable patients enter fever clinic by following the red arrows. This is another picture showing our staff were pre-screening and triage patients. This is a patient entering our hospital's patient channel for temperature measurement, registering, pre-screening, triage, and information entry. Patients were examined and divided after admission. Novel coronavirus pneumonia patients were admitted and treated according to different classifications and with specific targets. Treatment protocols developed by an expert group were customized for each patient. Here we show you the work carried out in the intensive care unit. We transferred patients to the intensive care unit in our negative pressure building. Staff working in the unit were composed of expert groups from the infection department, respiratory department, internal medicine department, nephrology department, and endocrine department, etc. They worked together, providing treatment and psychological interventions. This picture illustrates that they carried out a successful rescue. This is a scene where our staff in the intensive care unit worked together to rescue a patient. This is a picture of our staff discussing bedside with severely ill patients. In order to treat severe patients effectively and efficiently, in addition to experts from our hospital, provincial expert groups, including the West China Hospital team, came to our hospital to work on-site and form a group with our experts. The picture below is a scene of treating a moderate case of novel coronavirus pneumonia. This picture shows our staff were asking the medical history of a patient, conducting a physical examination, measuring body temperature. This is a scene of our experts engaging in discussion. This is a scene where our nursing staff were monitoring a patient's condition in wards. The following scene depicts our staff were treating a patient. To ensure treatment effectiveness, we implemented customized protocols to treat different patients. We integrated traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine to effectively control disease progress, shorten duration of fever, relieve clinical symptoms, and alleviate adverse effects of antiviral drugs. Our hospital is responsible for the treatment of severe and critical patients in Chengdu City, as well as some moderate novel coronavirus pneumonia patients. The oldest patient we admitted was 87 years old and the youngest 3 months. This is a picture of our nursing team nursing a 3-month-old patient. After patients with novel coronavirus pneumonia were admitted, they suffered from illness and experienced psychological problems. While treating these patients, our medical staff also provided psychological counseling. The picture shown below is an old lady whose condition has been successfully relieved, thanks to careful treatment and considerate care given by our medical staff. This is another patient who was treated successfully and was expressing his appreciation to our hospital staff before discharge. He also wanted to take a photo with our staff. The successful treatment of patients is inseparable from the efforts of our staff. The health condition of our staff directly determines whether our treatment is successful and whether they can serve patients effectively. This picture shows our infection control staff were checking the dressing of medical workers who needed to enter the unit for novel coronavirus pneumonia. Each medical worker was registered before entering the unit. Their physical health was evaluated and documented on the report. Doctors, nurses, and patients produced large amounts of medical waste due to the epidemic. Here are some pictures illustrating how we sorted, collected, transferred, and registered medical waste. This is a picture of special garbage trucks transferring medical waste. To ensure that medical waste disposal rate reaches 100% without emission and leakage. We achieved 0 infections through our efforts. Our hospital also sent experts to Wuhan City for treating local patients with novel coronavirus pneumonia. Thanks to the efforts of all hospital staff, especially the joint efforts of the medical, nursing, infection control, quality control, and other related departments, we successfully treated patients with 0 nosocomial infections and medical staff infections. From the admission of the first patient to the discharge of the last local patient on February 29, we treated a total of 101 patients with novel coronavirus pneumonia, of whom 37 were severe or critical. This picture shows the leadership of Chengdu Health Commission met our staff and affirmed our work. In this picture, the leaders of the municipal government came to our hospital for work inspection, guidance, and deployment. Our work was affirmed by the government and supported by all walks of life. They donated materials to our hospital, including a large amount of protective equipment. When the epidemic became the most severe, our supplies were also tight. The supplement of materials came not only from the government, but also from all sectors of society. This picture shows the first patient of novel coronavirus pneumonia affirmed our work when successfully discharged. This picture has just been shown to you. It depicts that an elderly patient was grateful after successfully treated by our medical staff. This photo was taken with our medical staff when the last patient of novel coronavirus pneumonia was discharged. This is the thank you letter for our staff written by the patient in the ward when she was treated successfully but not discharged. This is my sharing today. During the whole rescue and treatment process, 3 points impressed me deeply. The first point is the normalization of emergency work in our hospital. We need to prepare and comb through emergency plans, materials, and working procedures before the outbreak occurs. Emergency drills should be conducted at least 4 times per year, and the results should be evaluated. To continuously improve our emergency response capabilities. The second point is that patients with novel coronavirus pneumonia were classified and layered after admission to ensure the hospital ran effectively and efficiently. As a result, we had a large number of our cured patients discharged in a short period of time. We treated 37 severe and critical patients successfully and achieved good results. We improved cure rates and reduced mortality rates. The third point is that our protection and inspection for infection control was well in place. There were 0 cases of cross-infection in the hospital, and none of our staff were infected. Our achievements have been affirmed by the government, all sectors of society, and patients. Thank you. Friends overseas may leave questions in the comment section. We will answer you in the next section. Thank you.
From
his sharing, we can see the outstanding performance of Chengdu Public Health Clinical Center owes to a competent emergency response system. Thank you, Director Deng. In treating COVID-19 patients, nursing played an irreplaceable role. Next, we'll have the Chief Head Nurse, Madam Gao Xinlian, from Wuhan Union Hospital. She is also the team leader of Jianghan Mobile Cabin Hospital and acting secretary. Madam Gao will share with us nursing management of novel coronavirus patients in Mobile Cabin Hospital.
Hello, friends online. I'm the Chief Head Nurse from the Operation Unit of Union Hospital, affiliated to Tongji Medical College, Huazhong University of Science and Technology. I am very glad to share with you my nursing management experience in mobile cabin hospitals today. To start with, I'm going to talk about the nursing management of patients with novel coronavirus pneumonia in mobile cabin hospitals. A mobile cabin hospital responds to emergency public health events with good mobility. It has played an active role in containing the epidemic, especially in the treatment of patients with novel coronavirus pneumonia this time. A mobile cabin hospital is comprised of a medical care functional module, a ward module, a technology assurance module, and other modules. It is a modular equipment integrating functions of emergency treatment, clinical laboratory, and etc. It played a key role in the treatment of patients with novel coronavirus pneumonia in Wuhan, especially in the treatment, nursing observation, and isolation of mild and moderate patients. Wuhan Union Hospital took charge of 2 mobile cabin hospitals, Jianghan Cabin Hospital and Jianghan Development Zone Cabin Hospital. Jianghan Cabin Hospital was the first cabin hospital put into operation in Wuhan. It was also the cabin hospital with the most patients, starting to admit and treat patients from February 5th. Jianghan Development Zone Cabin Hospital was the second cabin hospital we opened, which was in my charge. The cabin hospital treated 281 patients, of whom 222 were discharged. The 2 hospitals admitted and treated a total of 2,129 cases of novel coronavirus pneumonia, during which period there were 22 to 25 national medical teams working in this hospital. Today, I would like to share the following 7 aspects from the perspective of nursing, mainly including preparation before putting to use a cabin hospital, the basic situation of nursing work in the triage area, clinical nursing work, nursing communication and coordination, nursing work outside a cabin hospital, and unique features of nursing work inside a cabin hospital. The first aspect is management before putting to use a cabin hospital. It took about 2 to 3 days to install a cabin hospital. Before a cabin hospital is opened, we must pay attention to procedure combing and improvement, and material preparation. We established a 3-zone and multi-channel system in our cabin hospitals. 3 zones include the clean zone, the potentially contaminated zone, and the contaminated zone. Multi-channels refer to the entrance for medical staff, exit for medical staff, patient-only access, safety access, waste access, etc. Procedures must be combed through before a cabin hospital is opened. Besides, it is required that these procedures must meet the technical requirements of the country. This is our experience regarding the 3-zone and multiple-channel system. The second aspect is preparation before opening the cabin hospital, especially material preparation. It is important to have all zones in a cabin hospital clearly identified. We need to prepare beds, patient supplies, doctor station, nurse station, required documents, nursing tools, medical equipment, disinfection tools and waste disposal, triage procedures, fire equipment, heating equipment, first aid equipment within an oxygen observation area, etc. Only by guaranteeing supplies before putting to use a cabin hospital can we open it and ensure the safety of our patients and medical staff. The second aspect is a basic introduction to the nursing work in a cabin hospital, particularly in Jianghan District Development Zone Cabin Hospital, managed by Wuhan Union Hospital. The cabin hospital was supported by medical teams from across the country. There were 7 medical teams, including 263 nurses. I represented Wuhan Union Hospital at that time and was mainly responsible for the management of 7 nursing teams. We first formed a 3-level structure upon arrival at hospital. I, as a nursing team leader from Wuhan Union Hospital, formed the team leader building structure with other team leaders from Guangzhou Province, Jiangxi Province, and Tianjin City. At the same time, 3 groups were divided under the team leader building structure: the comprehensive coordination group, the triage and screening group, and the clinical nursing group. Each group were given with different scopes of responsibilities, procedures, and management. This is our 3-level structure for nursing in a cabin hospital. Under such a structure, we have begun to implement procedures relevant to the structure, establish standard plans, and conduct orientation training. In terms of systems, we have established the cabin hospital management system, cabin hospital position responsibilities, the identity verification system for patients, the system for checking medication safety, etc. Many procedures have also been established, such as the collecting and transport procedure of throat swab samples, blood sample collecting and transport procedure, and the collecting and transport procedure of anal swab samples. As for emergency handling, we have established emergency plans for unexpected departure of cabin staff, fire emergency response plans and drills, and emergency handling for water and power cut in the cabin hospital. Regarding related standards, we have established standards for first-time nursing care, first-time evaluation, and observation records of nursing care for patients in a cabin hospital, according to the standards for mild and moderate novel coronavirus pneumonia formulated by Hubei province. We have also worked out reports, supervision forms, and other tools relating to the humanitarian care services, health education and discharge guide for patients, and nursing quality tests in the cabin hospital. All of our 263 nurses have been trained in detail before admission of patients, and training content have been continuously improved according to relevant practices within our cabin hospitals. Therefore, it took 1 day to train medical staff before entering cabin hospitals, with 400 attendances in total. This includes training on infection control, procedures of putting on and taking off isolation gowns and protective coveralls, emergency handling of occupational exposure, disinfection of material surface, ground and air, fire emergency plans, etc. In particular, while quality standards, patient triage process, material security and other topics were trained by our own nursing staff, fire training and drills were conducted by personnel assigned by the Jianghan District Fire Brigade to ensure our safety in operation. The entire daily training also includes shift scheduling. We implemented a shift system that allows nursing staff and other medical staff enter and leave the cabin hospital in separated batches to avoid cross-infection. There are 4 procedures for implementing triage-based nursing care in shift scheduling, which are information screening upon admission, information check, information entry, and guided admission. When implementing cabin hospital separating management for nursing care, each medical team was responsible for 1 shift, and a total of 6 shifts were arranged. The team leaders of each medical team were in charge of shift scheduling for their own clinical and nursing staff, while the general nurse station was responsible for carrying out internal and external coordination, logistic support, inspection and supervision, cleaning, disinfection, security, and publicity. The 4th aspect is the basic situation of nursing. In terms of quality implementation and control, we have established detailed standards of nursing quality based on the regulations for the management of mild and moderate cases of novel coronavirus pneumonia and other similar regulations issued by the Health Commission of Hubei Province. Considering that nursing staff had to work under tertiary protection, we have streamlined nursing documentation. Most items on electronic documents only require a mouse click to place a check mark, ensuring the convenience of operation throughout the process. With regards to overall quality control, we have also established a clinical post-group leader responsibility system to perform clinical and nursing work. Specifically speaking, a group leader should be responsible for the implementation of initial evaluation, condition observation, medication safety, humanitarian care, communication and coordination, health education, and discharge guide. A 3rd aspect is about supervision and inspection by team leaders and video conference feedback. Every day, the nursing team leader of each medical team should check the operations and quality of patients' identity, medication safety, infection control, occupational protection, and sample collection in their responsible areas. We received feedback of existing problems through video conferences and proposed improvement measures based on the condition of cabin hospitals, leading to continuous improvement. How did we conduct nursing work for each area? For example, how did we screen patients who enter cabin hospital in the triage process? The admission criteria for patients in our cabin hospital follows the standards given by Hubei Health Commission, that is, only mild and moderate patients can be admitted. Those patients should have positive results in nucleic acid tests and be able to live independently with age over 18 and under 65 years old, and without serious heart, liver, lung, kidney, and brain organ dysfunction. They should also have no history of mental illness, with blood oxygen saturation greater than 93% and respiratory rate less than 24. If not meeting these criteria, patients should not be admitted. After admission, we would enter patients' information into the system. For the triage area, in addition to the 4 procedures for admission on a daily basis, we would also check the number of patients every day. At the same time, it is necessary to implement relevant procedures for discharged patients. It's our responsibility to contact personnel for nucleic acid sample transport, and to organize the electronic medical records of these patients every day. As of March 8, 2020, Jianghan Development Zone Cabin Hospital has discharged 222 patients and transferred 59. We archive medical records of discharged patients through an electronic information system to avoid cross-infection caused by paper documents. The patient identification accuracy rate reached 100%. The accuracy rate of patient profile information also reached 100%, with 0 case of irregular discharge. In follow-up, we would conduct checkups, give interventions, and check discharge information with patients, guaranteeing smooth information communication. The fourth aspect is clinical nursing. We divided the cabin hospital into 3 areas and assigned medical teams to match our nursing work. In total, 682 beds were set up in Jianghan Development Zone Cabin Hospital, among which 4 beds were for observation and emergency in areas A, B, and C. The 3 areas were supervised respectively by the nursing staff of the Guangdong team, Jiangxi team, and Tianjin team. Therefore, it is a unique feature for the cabin hospital that each team should be responsible for a certain area. Through matching each team to its own cabin area, different teams can cooperate very well. The admission of patients started on February 21st and ended on March 8th. The nurses collected a total of 607 nucleic acid samples and 271 blood samples, and assisted 281 patients in undergoing CT scans. Body temperature monitoring totaled 6,744 times, pulse measurement reached 4,451 times, and respiratory observation 3,370 times. These were the workloads that our nursing team undertook within 19 days, which met the nursing requirements for mild and moderate patients. Patient routine care implementation rate reached 100%. Execution rate of electronic nursing documents reached 100%. The pass rate of blood sample collection reached 100%. The pass rate of throat swab sample collection reached 97.3%. It reached 100% after we improved the procedure. We conducted psychological screening for 100% of patients in terms of depression and anxiety. Our intervention rate for patients with moderate to severe depression reached 45%. Our implementation rate of patient health education and discharge guide reached 100%. The most important point is that after hospital's operation was suspended, medical staff had 0 infections, while patients had 0 deaths and readmission. This is a very optimistic result. The fifth aspect is communication and coordination of nursing care, which mainly focuses on material guarantee, in-cabin infection control and supervision, safety inspection, and asset management and handover. The sixth aspect is nursing care outside cabin hospitals. It is inconvenient for cabin staff to wear tertiary protective equipment while working, in either hearing, vision, or nursing care. Therefore, we move the checkpoint forward by using an extra cabin system to screen medical orders and to print and paste barcodes of nucleic acid test and blood samples. Medical staff in the cabin hospital only needed to perform simple work under tertiary protection, while all verification work was done outside the cabin hospital. Thanks to such working experience, we didn't have a single case of discrepancy between sample information and patient identity throughout the entire process, which also reduced the workload of our medical staff working at our cabin hospital. The nursing care given by our cabin hospital throughout its operation is very unique. As our group was comprised of various medical teams across the country, a unified management thinking was considered necessary. It is critical to focus on training and communication before opening a cabin hospital. After we temporarily formed the cabin hospital nursing team, we spent the whole day integrating and allocating work among staff with different roles on February 19th. The nursing department of Wuhan Union Hospital established various institutional processes and standard plans and conducted training. As a result, our nursing staff achieved 100% satisfaction rate in clinical nursing care. We provided nursing care for mild and moderate patients at the cabin hospital. The priority of procedure design was to meet the needs of patients. The second unique feature is a paperless nursing documentation. The novel coronavirus pneumonia patients we have served are contagious. Therefore, we built a paperless nursing system at Jianghan Development Zone Cabin Hospital. Realizing paperless nursing throughout the workflow within the cabin hospital, including information entry, initial nursing evaluation, nursing observation records, work log, discharge and transfer, etc. This avoided cross-infection and ensured that nursing data was integrated, monitorable, and traceable. Another nursing feature at our cabin hospital is professional and humanitarian nursing services. We performed ASA anxiety screening and PHQ-9 mental health screening for every admitted patient. High-risk patients would be labeled, and one-on-one psychological interventions would be given by our nursing staff during shifts. For patients with moderate and severe mental health problems, we would actively communicate with psychologists outside the cabin hospital and let them serve patients inside. We combined psychological intervention and medication to solve the psychological problems of patients in our cabin hospital. By the time of suspension of cabin hospital operation, a total of 127 patients with psychological problems have received intervention, accounting for 45% of all patients. We have also intervened 5 patients together with a psychologist and achieved good results. The fourth nursing feature is the continuation of patient health education. The cabin hospital admitted and treated mild and moderate patients. After admission, patients didn't know whether a cabin hospital could function as a formal hospital. They were confused about the severity, infectivity, and prognosis of novel coronavirus pneumonia, while various rumors made them anxious. Therefore, based on the special needs of patients, our nursing team wrote intra-cabin health education materials and discharge instructions to promote rapid recovery of patients. Patients could apply these instructions during isolation after discharge, for which reason our nursing team received high praise. We have also established an emergency plan for unexpected departure of cabin staff. When wearing tertiary protective equipment, cabin staff may suffer from shortness of breath, dizziness, and even palpitations due to hypoxia, in which case they have to depart from the cabin hospital and must be accompanied by a medical staff. Assistance outside the cabin hospital should be provided by security personnel and infection monitoring staff. Tents and ambulances should also be prepared outside the cabin hospital. For those cabin staff whose condition is well, they will rest and receive oxygen therapy. If not well, they will be rescued in place or sent to the main campus of Wuhan Union Hospital for treatment. In the 21 days of cabin hospital operation, more than a dozen of our medical staff had to unexpectedly depart from the cabin hospital due to lack of oxygen or discomfort. Despite unexpected departure, our medical staff were promptly treated without any accidents. The cabin hospital has played a decisive role in the whole process for treating novel coronavirus pneumonia, especially for mild and moderate patients. Throughout the process, we also want to thank nursing workers from national medical teams as well as provincial medical teams for their strong support for Wuhan. As a staff working in the operation unit, I also want to thank operating room workers from all over the country for their care and support. I hope that after the epidemic, all medical workers who have helped Wuhan will be able to come here again for a second time. We can eat crayfish and admire the beautiful scenery of Wuhan together. Thank you all.
可以看到，高护士长是在工作岗位上与我们进行。
As we can see, Chief Nurse Madame Gao is sharing her information while working. Because in the mobile camping hospital, the medical staff come from different parts of the region, and it is a very complex organ. So, to have a unified scientific and order-made nursing management system and procedure is quite important. All this could be a valuable reference to other countries. While Wuhan is fighting against COVID-19, Zhongnan University Hospital is the one who made the early detection of the warning signals. And now, I'm going to have the dialogue with Director of the Zhongnan Hospital of Wuhan University, as well as the Director of Wuhan Leishan Hospital for a talk, please. Mr. Wang, we collected some of those questions that everyone are interested in. We'd like to share those questions with you. Recently, according to the media news, we know that medical teams from different regions are gradually withdrawn from Leishan Hospital, and many patients are gradually discharged. What's the status quo of the hospital? Currently, we have 112 patients, and around 2/3 of our medical staff are already withdrawn, but our work still continued. And those patients are still in the severe and yet critical stage. So my question is, when can Leishan Hospital be shut down? I hope it can be shut down in the early of May. And let me ask you another question. What is the governance and management structure of Leishan Hospital? I have to say, Leishan Hospital is an organization. It seems there's something wrong with the audio part. Okay. Leishan Hospital is a hospital with medical staff coming from different parts of China. We have 3,000 of them from 280 cities around China. Majority of them are not in respiratory sector, so our management is quite specific. We are having a medicine-oriented structure. And the priority of the structure is centralized treatment over the patient. We provide the suggestions and the guidelines for the treatment of each individual patient. And we have the unified standard and the treatment and protocol for the patients. More importantly, we also have experts of hospitalized infection. And we have around 20 kinds of such experts to make sure our caregivers won't be contaminated. So jointly speaking, we have a full workforce of making our work on track. And we have another team that is logistics and support team. This logistics and support team contains 1,000 staff. Majority of them are volunteers. They come in from every work of the society. They are not nurses, they are doctors. They are here to provide us the logistics and the daily supports. We have another task force named the Human Resources Group. They are responsible for the training and the registration of all the medical staff. And they are also providing the physical check for the volunteers and the training for the hospital-acquired infection prevention. And we also have another coordination team. We have 2 expert teams. It is really the lean management structure. Thank you. So I can say that we took a lot of efforts, and it is not easy to unify this team, especially the staff are coming from different parts of China. So what is the biggest difficulties you ever encounter in taking care of the epidemic? I think it would be the logistic support in the early stage of the epidemic outbreak. The Leishan Hospital was built from scraps. At the very beginning, we are truly in need of the logistics support, but at that time, we don't have any resources and a dedicated team for that. But it is very happy to see that we have a lot of people with a good heart. They are happy to support us and contribute their power to us. So we successfully went through that period of difficult times. Currently, we can see that the global epidemic is spreading with an alarming speed. So what is your specific suggestions to developed countries and developing countries in epidemic containing as well as the severe and the critical patient treatment? I think this is a very important question to our overseas doctors. Well, for the developing countries, I think mobile capping hospital is truly a good reference. Because you know that in-hospital treatment is just one part. If we have a huge number of the patients and our medical resources would be overburdened and the hospital won't be able to admit too much patients, the patient's number would extremely outscale the treatment capacity of the hospital. So for those developing countries, my suggestion is that we would take some countermeasures, for example, wearing the facial masks in public spaces. For example, today I'm sitting here in front of the camera. I don't need to wear the facial mask, but I still put it on my face because I want to give you a hint that wearing facial masks is quite important in preventing the virus. And we have to remind people how important facial mask is in protecting themselves. Well, for those critical and severe patients, you have to evaluate the epidemic trend of the city where the hospital is located. We have to have enough number of the ventilators, because here this moment of now, I say that ventilator is a very important supportive equipment to make the patient's life sustained. Otherwise, many of the patients lost their life because of the lack of the oxygen. We have to have the respiratory supporting equipment to support the patient, especially in the severe and critical stage. So what's your comment to the developed countries? Developed countries? Yes, I keep an eye on developed countries. I know that the US is also in a challenging period of the time, because it seems that the whole society is mobilizing itself in taking some protective measures, especially the New York State and New York City. I say that they also launched some banning policies of preventing the public event from happening. But I see that still they are not encouraging the public and the medical staff to wear facial masks. I think this is quite important. The growth of the confirmed case in the US is now at an alarming speed. And they have to clearly identify the source of the infection and the suspicious case. If you don't wear the facial masks, everyone would be very easily to be contaminated. If everyone is getting together as a cluster without putting the facial mask on, and everyone is very likely to be infected. And the patient need to clearly understand they are being confirmed they are going to be a source of infection. They need to be well managed. And I know that US is now taking some measures, but I think like US, as a developed country, they have to encourage the general public in developing the habit of wearing the facial masks. And I don't think those kind of mysterious type can actually prevent people from wearing the facial masks. Otherwise, it's gonna to be a detrimental factor for the future spread of the virus. I know that for some of the developed countries, they are also in need of the ventilator as the patient number is increasing. I think for those countries, they have to put some cash investment in order to prepare the beds and enough ventilators to support the patients. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just as you said, some medical staff from the developed countries, they themselves are not wearing facial masks. From some of the videos, I say that there's insufficient protective measures for the medical staff in those countries. So if they don't have enough protective measures, what's your suggestions? I think we have to divide them into two kinds. One kind of them are those doctors and nurses treating the confirmed case, while the second kind are those doctors and nurses that are providing the service to the general patient. I think for all the caregivers, they have to have some measures for self-protection and isolation. For example, putting masks on. And the reason why I'm putting my mask on in front of the camera is because I have a lot of friends. They are doctors in the US. They are worried. Some of their colleagues, they don't accept wearing the facial masks because they believe it won't help